Happy Thursday to you. This is John McEntyre Show live. I'm John McEntyre. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2024. Midway through August and almost at the backside of summer. And I cannot wait. That should be one of my questions of the day. What season do you prefer? Me personally, I like fall. I like fall. I like them. I have a, you know, there's pluses to all of them, benefits to all of them. But fall is like my favorite. Fall and spring runs neck and neck. I guess I like that season change, especially when summer is going into fall. I really like that feeling. Uh, but you didn't tune in to hear me talking about the weather. You tuning in for me to talk about your financial health and wellness, and so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to cover some wallet wins. Um, then I have a question that came in about online only banks, and I'll do the question of the day. So we're going to get into the wallet wins. The first one, I increased my life insurance. Uh, Definitely a wallet win. Definitely one of those wallet wins. Protecting your wallet is what it's doing. Um, we do a lot of that. Looking when we're doing the financial checkups, looking at people's insurance, and 9 times out of 10, it's a person that they're either um, underinsured or improperly insured. Those are usually the two big ones, and so we see that a lot. Like I say, that's a high, very high percentage of what we see. Um, so increase my life insurance. That is a good wallet win. Wallet win number two. I sold some old stuff and started my emergency fund. Yep, big time wallet win. And it would be nice if you came over to our place and sold some of our old stuff because we have plenty of old stuff to sell. We probably could fund a couple of emergency funds. I know. Just a quick little story. Um, Andrea, she had received it was a Christmas gift, and it was at a Christmas party. It was like one of those real nice toolkits, drills, double drills, two drills, and all of the little bells and whistles in there. And she brought it here, and I was like, I don't need it. I already have a drill. You know, uh, Told a couple of people about it. She was like, I said, well, look at the price. We'll look up the price online. Looked online. They were selling it like 175, but it was a ton of them, and that was around Christmas. I said, well, if you wait till after the season, after everything sort of cools off, because right now it'll be hard to get any, over $100. It'll be real hard. And I said, and if you do, you won't get that because prices are going to fall. So she put it in the corner and let it go. She bumped into it, put it on. Didn't even it didn't even make it to eBay. It was on what's the app? Next Door. Was it Next Door app? One of the other apps. Actually Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace. Put it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was sold in like 3 hours, pretty much 3 hours, something like that, and a real good price. So, we was like, so, just walking through the garage, looking in the closets. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of $100 stuff in here. We probably could fund a few months of emergency funds, but that one's always a good way to bring in some extra money. Just what you think is your trash, like to say, is someone else's treasure. Uh, and it's a kid, and I'll move on to the next one because this is something for the kids out there. It's a it's a kid. I forget what store. He goes to one store. He buys a specific um, soccer cleat. It's a specific brand. He's buying this thing. He's going to these particular stores. He's buying it for $50 and selling it online for like 150. Yeah. Look, he's actually going to the discount store. He's going to like in our area they're called Tanger outlets, the outlet stores. He goes to the big outlet stores and he buys a specific brand, not all cleats, not all of them. He just buys that one brand and he's known for it. And as soon as he lists them, they're sold. He yeah, he does a little thing, couple of little videos, playing with a soccer ball, things like that. And and he's not even a star soccer player, but he's a smart business person. I know that much. And so he's going and he's making he's what they call crushing it. But yeah, so that's a good idea. Wallet win number 3. I told my boss I was searching for a part-time job and she gave me some extra responsibilities with a raise. So yeah, that is a wallet win. Uh, Most people will overlook where they're working. They'll go out and find a part-time job before they actually look in their backyard. That's what they always say. Look in your backyard first. Um, there's usually riches in the backyard. The acres of diamonds. The old story, Acres of Diamonds, where um, it's one of my top books. Quick read. I mean, you read it in no time. It's really not even considered a book. It was actually written by a minister, a Baptist minister back in the 1800s, and he raised $7 million doing that same speech, the Acres of Diamonds speech. So go Google it. And basically, that's what he was saying. In your backyard, and remember, this was in 1800s. In your backyard, in your marketplace, in your neighborhood, in your town, whether it's a large city or small town, there are opportunities. And so with this particular situation, um, she probably just didn't even think to look around and see maybe there's some opportunities here for me. Because, just in America, it's just a natural thing to do. If you have a job, you want extra money, you just go find another full-time job. You ask for the raise, you don't get it, then you go. Most of the time people they're just afraid of asking for a raise. It's like one of the biggest fears, asking for a raise. So they would just take the easy route and go get a part-time job. Well, this conversation with the boss, I guess she was probably saying, hey, um, just so you won't catch and hear it from someone else, I am going to look for a part-time job. I need some extra money. And the boss, owner of the company, that's what they do. They solve problems. So okay, I can solve this problem for you. And I know it's he's in insurance now on the West Coast. He was talking about his side hustle when he was in corporate. He found out that in his particular job is sort of a high skilled job. Um, that if you brought a good candidate for hire, you would get like a $1,500 bonus or something like that for each person. He said so. He basically helped them build the company. he, he he was making he was knocking over 1,500 a month easy. Said some months it'd be like 5,000, 4,500, things $6,000. Because he just went out and found good people that he knew. He would interview, talk to them, tell them what was going on, and then he would come go back to HR and say, hey, I have a very good candidate. I've already talked to him. I think they would be good for the company. And so it was HR. They were happy. He was bringing qualified candidates through the door, and they were paying. He was being paid very well. He said, I could have easily, if I hadn't left that company, I would be doing very well because I would, bringing in constant people. He said, but I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So that's why he got into insurance. But yeah, always look before you make those types of moves. Always look in your backyard. Make sure there's not an opportunity you're missing right where you are, right under your nose there. So that's a good wallet win there. So we have 3 good wallet wins. Now let's get into this question here. Basically, it was a long question, but the gist of it is banking with an online only bank safe? And basically, what they're saying is online only bank means they don't have branches, they don't have locations. Um, so my my personal experience, I have two. We have 2 accounts online only. Three. I've been corrected. 3 online only bank accounts. And excuse me. The reason why they're so attractive is because they're usually, especially with their high yield savings accounts, since they didn't have to build these buildings and paying for real estate, they're passing the savings on to the customer. So, and that's in a few ways of saving, but the main two are higher interest rates on your accounts and lower fees. And we all know fees is what can really eat away at anything that you're doing financially, those banking fees. And so um, I say yes, they're very safe. I haven't had, as a matter of fact, I've had, and I'm not saying I'm not being. It's not a negative. It's not a hit towards the banks because the banks took care of it. Um, I'm just saying I haven't had any. I've had more problems with branch banks than I had physical banks than I have with online only banks. I haven't had any problem with online only banks. I've had a couple of, but it wasn't really the bank. It was really the identity type thing. And so that goes into the next part. Yes, it is safe, but like everything, it does have its risks uh, with it being online. Well, before you even move forward, the first thing you have to make sure when choosing an online only bank, is make sure that it is FDIC insured. You know, the 250, it will protect up to $250,000 of your money. Now, that doesn't mean, that's not saying that it's protection against fraud. That's saying it's protection against if the bank shut down, you would get your $250,000. Uh, that did happen with the first bank that I banked with, online only bank. That was what, 2002, um, 2001, 2002. The company ING. It was like one of the first ones to go to online only banking. They had one branch and it was in Chicago. We went to Chicago. We actually did see the branch. I mean, it was nice. I was like, yeah, these fees would be crazy expensive if they were building branches like this. I mean, it was like for that time, ultra modern. It's in Chicago for number one. It was ultra modern. It was like 4 stories tall, all glass. Everything. Back then Wi-Fi was a luxury. That was huge to have Wi-Fi. I mean, Wi-Fi, all of that good stuff. But then again, in Chicago at that time, McDonald's had Wi-Fi, so that's just how that city was. Well, everything was fine, and I actually had they actually offered an affiliate relationship, so I would talk about it on the show, and it was like, share this link, basically what they call affiliate marketing today. Before I even shared the link, a couple of people asked me about it, and I gave them the information. I go to my bank account. I go check the bank account. I would check it every day, just building the habit. And since I didn't have a branch, to make sure I checked it every day because I wanted to make sure it was safe. Um, it was like 75 extra dollars, and it had these names of these people that had went. Well, the first day it was just one person, but then in a couple of days it was like two others had gotten those accounts, opened accounts, and I got the $25. They deposited $25 because that's all it was. That's all it took to open the account was $25, and so it was actually a good thing. Now, 2012, I had that account till 2012. I get a email, an alert, which brings up another point. I get an alert. Capital One had bought them, and so that's where Capital One Bank came from. It was ING's online bank. Capital One uh, bought it, and I received notice. I was like, okay, at that time, Capital One was just mainly, I thought of it as credit cards. So I was like, okay, I moved the money, closed the account, but it was safe. I didn't have any problems. They communicated whenever, it was online, it was a new thing. And so if something did happen, I received the alerts, which is another point. Um, and it was very safe. So I've had a good experience with it over 20 years, you know, and the people that went with it early, they haven't had this. Some people that's been with online banks, they found other online banks, and that's just what they've been doing all their life. So, pretty much all of their banking has been done online only. Um, I'm not all online only. We still have, I still like to every now and then step into a branch, make sure that they're there. Uh, But in today's time, these banks, their customer service is in place. All of this, you can make the phone calls. They have the apps, the mobile apps, things like that. So, you can communicate and just make sure. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that type of stuff. So, one of the main risks of it is cyber attacks. Just like all online, anything online is just subject to a cyber attack. Um, so you want to know how they handle cyber attacks, where it's really cyber attack is really on the actual customer side, being serious, because most of the time the cyber criminal, they have some type of a malware or something that will go in and track you is what they're doing, and they get access to your username and your passwords. And so but once that happens, the bank can rectify it. If it does happen, unless it is on your side, it's something that you were liable for. Who knows? We don't know. But if it's something that happens on the bank side, they're very good with rectifying the situation. So that's the number one. So you just want to make sure you put those preventive measures in place with an online only banking account. Number one, strong password. Just having a strong password, not the normal ABC 123 or your initials with a couple of numbers behind it, your birth date, things like that. Those are so easy because, especially with cyber criminals, those are like the first things they do check when they're going after accounts. Um, so you want to make sure. Some online only banks, and just some banks, period, they require you to have certain uh, you have to have some uppercase letters. You have to use some symbols, everything. And if it's a weak password, they won't allow you to use it. So that's to protect you. Um, I don't go to the extreme. I know a couple of people whose passwords, they're like 30 characters long, and all of these backslashes and hyphens and equals and all this type of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I never get access to that account again if I had to depend on that. But that's what they do. So you want to make sure you set up your strong password, and don't use the same password for all that you use on other accounts. It's just the basic. But because cyber attacks is like at an all-time high, and it's growing every year. It's like a multi-billion-dollar. Banks spend billions of dollars a year just off cyber attacks, um, identity theft. So that's one of the measures you want to put in place. uh, multi-factor authentication, where when you sign in, you have to prove that it's you. You may have to answer some questions. That's good to set up, because, like I say, this is your accounts. That's always good to use. Keep your technology up to date, the updates, your computers, phones, mobile apps. Make sure that they're updated on a continuous basis, just so everything can be um, that they can work together to protect you. It won't and also last one, what the most all banks, I haven't seen a bank that don't have it. If something funny happens, they're going to alert you. And what you need to be mindful of is how they will alert you. You won't receive some anonymous alert from an email, for instance. There's always going to be something weird about the email address. Always, it will always be something weird, and most people, they just see it and they move so fast they don't pay attention. It's going to be a font change. It's going to be, let's say, for instance, it's Wells Fargo. You won't see Wells dash Fargo, or something like that. You will not see that. And number two, they have other ways. They're going to contact you in other ways first. They let you know how you would be contacted in case of an emergency. So you have to keep all of that in mind there. But all in all, online only banking, it is safe. I've been doing it, like I say, 20 plus years. Uh, we're in the process of finding some good online only banks to link on the website for you to go and check, people to go and check out, because we get that question quite a bit. Um, so we'll make sure and have that, do an update for that. So hopefully that answered the question, gave you some tips, gave you some things to be mindful of. Maybe it might be time to go change the password. Make sure it's, strengthen it up some. Make sure your apps are updated, your computers and everything are updated. Make sure you have your programs on your computer to protect you, things like that. Firewalls, all of that good stuff. Everything, like our computers. Andrea, she takes care of that stuff, but she takes them to someone and they go through and make sure that it's functioning at a high level and it's well protected, so our information couldn't be stolen. Because you also have to think about you using your smart TVs and all of that stuff, so you have to keep all of that in mind. There's plenty of ways for um, cyber criminals to get inside of your home, your kids' phones, making sure that they're not like leaving apps open, especially if you're training them, teaching them about banking. Make sure, hey, when you're done with this, log out and close the app. Don't leave it open. They're using Apple Pay and all of these types of things. So make sure that they have some security on them to keep them protected. So hopefully that answered the question. Like I say, I gave some good tips there. Uh, which leads to the question of the day. Do you bank online, in branch only, or both? Uh, just a question out there to think about. Uh, a lot of banks, especially banks with branches, they have, they do online banking. So that's a form of this is online only, branch on in branch, because I know some people, especially in the smaller towns, that older generation, they don't want to do ATMs. They don't want to do anything. They want to go inside of that bank and talk to someone every time they do something banking wise. So you could be one of those people, or both. You use both. That's the question of the day. So I hope I gave some good information, and if I did, share it, subscribe to the channel, like the stuff, go back, watch the other videos, send in your wallet wins, share them with us, share your questions or comments, contact us. Our contact information is on the bottom of the screen. And tomorrow we'll be back, same time, same channels. We'll talk.